So, you might ask, what is the most interesting thing I've ever found in a book? Very good to be back from my first winter flu bug, which kind of knocked me on my butt here the past week or so. So here in the store, getting back to work, and just really enjoying being here in the store instead of in bed at home. While I was laying in bed, I was thinking about some of the things I could do for one of these videos. And what came to mind was things I found in books. So I've been doing this for many years, 25, whatever. I mean, I've been collecting and reading and a book nerd since I was, a kid. So over the years, I've looked, I don't know, at thousands and thousands of books. And of course, more so in the past few years as a collector and a seller. So when I'm looking for books, I will, I'm at the thrift store, so I'll grab here, let's find one that's easier. So I'll grab a book off the shelf when I'm looking, right? And I look and say, oh, for some reason it's interesting to me. So I open the book up. Usually I have two hands. I open it up and I kind of do, a quick look through one of these. Yeah, it's nice and clean. It's in good condition. There's, I always look for, a signature, because I do kind of specialize in signed books. So I look, there's no signature in this one. So I do a quick perusal of the book as I pull it off the shelf. So I've looked literally at thousands and thousands of books just like that, where I look through and see. So today I'm going to show you some of the things over the years that I've found in books. Okay, we've got a lot of stuff to look at here because, over the years you do find one or two things in these books. Where shall we start? Okay, let's look at bookmarks and kind of papery things that we have found inside books. Well, here's the head of security, of course, on guard at the front door. Looks like a beautiful sunny day, doesn't it? Yeah, it does, except if you go outside that door, it's about -15 with the wind chill. Hi, Mrs. Are you a good girl? Yes, you are. Okay, so let's see. I've got to go through some of my books here and see if I can find some of the stuff we're going to be talking about. So let's have a look through. One of the things you often find in primarily older books is what we call biopredation, which is just a kind of a fancy name for, bugs that get in and start eating away at books. And some of the older books, of course, are more prone to this because of the materials that were used to make them. A lot of it was, the glue was made out of animal fat renderings, so that is very attractive to, little bugs that get in and are hungry. I've actually found live bugs in books, little, creeping along the spine. So, of course, it's very important that those do not get into the store, because they will just keep moving along and eating up your books. And try as I may, I have looked through just about every book in the store for the classic example of the hole that's, drilled down through the text block. And you can actually see it sometimes. There's like squiggly lines and holes that go right through into the book. Of course, I can't find one because I'm doing this video today. However, this is, I guess, a form of biopredation. You can see here on the corner, and the board is gone, and a chunk of the spine is gone. That was canine biopredation, and it was from one of my dogs from way, way back when, my lovely old dog Bounder, Bounder of Adventure from Monty Python. Anyway, yeah, he got a hold of this book and thought he might, open it up and have a look. So just another form of biopredation. As I mentioned earlier, I'm always looking for signed books. And of course, Thomas Harris, creator of Hannibal, Fava Beans. Geez, that's a scary movie. I have looked and looked and looked for a signed Thomas Harris book for many years. I've never come across one. I'm not sure why. So look at this. Hold on, gotta fix that. So I open this up because I'm always looking. I flip them open, have a peek. Oh, look, that looks like a signed Thomas Harris signature. Well, I got it back to the shop and I did a little more digging. And if we look at the handwriting up here, it looks very suspiciously similar to Mr. Harris's signature. And if you look at the ink really closely, yeah, the ink is very similar as well. So I think Lisa's birthday, Christmas special day gift was actually a forgery. And maybe that's why it ended up in the shelf at the thrift store. Of course, I went online too, and there's not one legitimate Thomas Harris signature that looks anything like this. Yeah, I mean, a 5-year-old could have figured this one out. So for Lisa, I don't know who gave it to her, but I don't think that relationship continued on for a long time. So people seem to have, or some people seem to have this irresistible urge to put their mark in a book, whether it's their name or their address or their phone number. Some folks, they will put all of that information on the front free end page, and then they'll do it again on the title page. They'll do it on the back, and sometimes throughout the book. And I've often wondered where that comes from. How come I have to mark this book up like that and ruin it? Hey, it's your book. I guess you can do whatever you want with it. But I hate when I see that, especially some of them. They get so detailed. I've seen in black Sharpie, paragraphs of information about the owner and why they bought this book, where they bought it, how much they paid for it, all of that stuff. There you go. Some people will. Most of us don't, thank goodness. Because, I mean, like I say, it's your book. You can do whatever you want with it. But at the end of the day, it really kind of wrecks it in a way, especially, if you're a collector. And, yeah, well, you know what I mean. Bibles, of course, I do lots of repairs. Folks bring their Bibles in and I repair them. You should see the interesting things that you find in family Bibles. Of course, all the family histories, the dates, the births, the anniversaries, the weddings, deaths, locks of hair, photographs, all sorts of really interesting things that accumulate in these Bibles over the years. So, when I do repairs on Bibles, I will often go through and, pick some of that stuff out and I'll put it in an envelope off to the side so that, and I'll mark where it came from so that it won't get damaged or lost or whatever while I'm doing the repair. And then when I'm all done, I will reinsert it where it's supposed to go. What else do we find? Business cards, birthday cards, inscriptions, all sorts of heartfelt, heartwarming inscriptions to people. And for some reason, this book has a connection for that special event or occasion. And I come across this book in a thrift store at a garage sale, and it has just the most heartwarming, inscription of love and undying devotion. And here it is. I'm getting it for 50 cents. What happened? How come that book is now valueless in a sense to the person who had received it? I don't know. I think about those sorts of things for some reason. I find them interesting because books have very interesting lives. One of the things that I most often come across in books is library markings. And I love librarians. I love libraries. And they're much, much better today with the technology they use to mark their books. But going back a ways, It was like, holy smokes, there was no question that this was a library book. So on the front, on the spine, on the inside, they had their own book plate. They had their own stamp. Stamp on the top edge, stamp on the foredge, stamp on the bottom edge. Geez, is this a library book? You open the book up. Oh, there's another stamp. And when they took books out of circulation, they would put a big stamp out of circulation. I'm not sure why they would care afterwards. You go to the back, another stamp just in case you missed the first 4 or 5. One of the card holders that had been removed, it looks like, at some point. Here's the checkout stamp. And here's the rules and regulations on how you can take this book out of the library. Anyways, it can really devalue a book, all of those stamps. So, I mean, it is what it is. To find some books without the library markings, it can be a real find. So, you know, you never know. You just keep looking and hope you find one. But holy smokes, is that really necessary? So one of the things you have to be very wary of, especially if you're going to list the book for sale, is that what has happened to the interior of the book. This set, this is the makers of Canada. It's like a 20 volume set. This is the Parkman edition. So I have to go through each and every volume when I'm listing this set. And this is available on BaileyTheBookman.com. To make sure that I have indicated things like this in the listing, in the description. So you can see somebody, probably under the age of majority, got into this particular volume and marked it up pretty good. So again, it's a bit tedious going through all 22 volumes and kind of checking every page as closely as I can, but it's something you need to do. This is not on the interior of a book. However, this is one of my favorite books of all time. This is a first edition, but I think we've seen in other videos it has some issues. It's missing these pages. Somebody, decided to rip all of those out. Anyways, it's in rough condition. I'll do something with it someday. But you have to, again, if I was going to list this for sale, somebody's taken an ink pen and filled in the Strand Library, and there's a few other things throughout the book too. So again, you have to mark those. Here's what you can sometimes be hard to spot is underlining in a book and some marginella. So people that make notes in the side definitely affects the value of a book, the collectability of a book. Typically you find in nonfiction more than fiction, but again, needs to be noted when you list it for sale. I was talking about inscriptions before. Here's kind of a interesting one, and this is sort of a cookbook. It says, "Don't look to the past, lest you become despondent. Don't look to the present, lest you become monotonous," I believe. "And don't look to the future, lest you become fearful. Just keep on looking up." And that's what we'll do in the book business. So this is a bookmark, or book plate rather, that seemed to be more popular in the past than they are today, and people would get their own personalized plates made up that they could then, put inside the front cover of a book, and it would identify it as their personal library. Come across quite a few of these. This is kind of a neat one. It's a bit older. I'm not sure exactly how old. Bookmarks of all sorts of descriptions. This is kind of a neat one. You got to be careful with those, though. They're so easy to damage a page edge. I'd rather just see like a little slip of paper, or just start the book and finish it. This is a little piece of Alberta history. Our former Premier, Ralph Klein, and well, it's a long story, but came up with Ralph Bucks, and this is a bit of a poke at Ralph's plan for Ralph Bucks for all Albertans. Found that in a book. I have found all sorts of bookmarks, and so this one, it was from a religious text, and it's all very nicely sewn and stuff. This one is made out of leather, really quite pretty. Dame Elizabeth Sapp, Broxburn, Hertz, 1473. Don't remember where I got that one from. This one is from a parish church. Again, some really nice work. Again, that's leather. Here's a kind of a similar one. Chartwell, the home of Sir Winston Churchill. So, excellent. This one, one of my favorites, because, oh, guess who? It's Sherlock Holmes. There's nothing more deceptive than an obvious fact. Sherlock Holmes. Yeah, I didn't find this. I bought this at the Sherlock Holmes store in London. Paper stuff. Here's one from 1914. Some kind of a life insurance promotion. Found this in a book. This is for our Chinese friends for the new year. You put money in this envelope and it's lucky money. So if you have any Chinese friends, that's a very nice thing to do. I found this in a book. I don't know if it's a rolling paper of some kind. Kind of neat. Found this in a book that was signed by Mr. Hertog, and of course, as it says there, he was a iconic Canadian publisher mostly, but wrote many books as well about Canada and our history. I did not find this in a book technically, but I found it in a box full of train books, and it would go on through the hat of a trainman way back in the day. Let's see, what does it say on the back? Oh. I don't know. It says something. Okay. Kind of cool though. I like it. Lots of other bookmarks, like this from the Giller Prize. The finalist lists from 1995. The Giller Prize is Canada's premier literary prize for fiction. There's some old-time Canadian author names on there, many that are not with us anymore. This is from a bookseller that was located in Edmonton, Alberta, just my neighbor here to St. Albert, and Bjarne's Books. And he specialized in Arctic and Canadiana. Was a wonderful store, and has gone the way of many used bookstores. Well, those are some of the things that I have found in books over the years, and I couldn't find any press sleeves to show you or actual mold and that sort of stuff. But if I do, I will show them to you. So that we started off with the question, what's the most interesting thing I've ever found in a book? Well, I have a new one that tops the list, and I found this the other day. That's right. A Benjamin. I found a Benjamin in a book. It's taken me 25 years, but I finally found something worth some real money in a book. That's our episode for Bailey the Bookman. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on our next one.